An appeals court judge rules in favor of two St. Tammany Parish deputies, dismissing claims of excessive force in the 2020 arrest of a Slidell woman.
Chris Welty is in the newsroom with the story.
Meg Lauren, the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is allowing a First Amendment violation claim against one of the St. Tammany Parish deputies to move forward. In May 2020, the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office was called to Talia Perkins' home after someone filed a complaint that a woman was driving a dirt bike without a helmet in the Ozone Woods neighborhood of Slidell. When deputies arrived on scene, they found Perkins on a motorcycle without a helmet and questioned her in her driveway. Perkins disputed the claims and told her son and nephew to record the interaction with deputies. Deputies warned the teens to stay back, and videos shows one deputy shoving Perkins' son. A deputy is accused of blocking video recording of Perkins being arrested. Perkins claimed she was choked and that excessive force was used. The ACLU eventually took her case and sued the sheriff's office. Perkins won her initial case, but an appeals court judge has since dismissed those claims of excessive force.
I don't understand how would they not rule in my favor when the video clearly showed the officer choking me, and he forced me back to the ground when he pretended as if he wanted to help me up and began choking me. So it's mind-boggling. Like, it's just unreal.
In a statement, the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office says Randy Smith is pleased with the ruling. He said, quote, "As the court correctly pointed out, a video of the arrest was taken by the woman's son, clearly shows that the amount of force used to overcome the woman's resistance was objectively reasonable under the circumstances." Sheriff Smith believes the First Amendment violation claim against his deputy will also be dismissed. Perkins says she plans to continue fighting against the court's decision. I did reach out to the ACLU, and we are still waiting on a statement. Meg?
All right, Chris, thank you.